Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Lynn and today I want to show a couple of different methods that I've used to swatch some of the different craft supplies that I have. When I saw the clear stamp and die of the month for May of 2022, the first thing I thought of was to use it for swatching because there are some things here that I felt worked perfectly, and I'll show you how I use them in a moment. But I use this combination here of the octagon wheel and the solid stamp, and then I also used this die here, which I think is really meant for spooling your embroidery floss, but it worked perfectly for. Let me go ahead and show that first. So I just created this ring of, I don't know why one person needs this many different brands and colors of cardstock, but this is what I have at the moment. At least most of what I have in just regular solid color cardstock. I want to go ahead and also swatch out some of my specialty papers too. And one thing that I had a hard time deciding was whether to try to organize this by color, regardless of brand, or to organize it by brand. And as you can see, what I ended up doing was organizing it by brand. The main reason being that I could just use my little label printer to just print like a divider sort of tab, I suppose, as opposed to having to label every single one, because if they were all jumbled up together, then in order to actually find out what brand, any particular one was, I would need some way of labeling it, and that would be a lot of labels, as you can see. So instead what I did was I just chose an order for the colors, and then for within each brand I ordered it in that same order. So I've got Tonic, 80-pound letter size, and then I've got Sizzix, 216 GSM, A4 size. Most of these I've gotten through with craft boxes. So it's not that I go out and buy a lot of well, I guess in a sense I am buying it, but I'm getting a lot of these are through the various craft boxes that I've gotten. This one I have bought. So this is Astro, which I think is branded under Nina now, 65-pound letter size. So I have a stack of that. Then I've also got Recollections. This is the Michaels brand, I believe. I've got I think two of theirs. I think it's the Essentials and their Brights. So I've combined them both because they're both Recollections brand, and this is 65-pound. So these I have the most of because it's probably the most economical brand of cardstock that I own. So there's that. And then this section here, we're getting into my 12x12s. 12x12s are kind of nice because especially when I make albums that are a little bit larger than what a US letter size sheet will cover, it is nice to have some solid color cardstock in the 12x12. So I have Doris, 65-pound. And then I also have so I've got Nina, 65-pound. Again, I think this is under the Astro, previously Astro, but now branded Nina. So I've got that. And then I have a Crafter's Companion paper pad that's 180 GSM in the 12x12. I think the Crafter's Companion one is the only one that is white core. Everything else, I believe, is solid core, which I like. And the nice thing about having them on a ring like this is that if I am debating between two shades of blue, for example, I still can kind of pull them towards the center here and do like a little compare and contrast. In fact, these two are very close. So one thing that I have noticed, so I believe, although, you know, I don't know for certain, but the Tonic and Sizzix brands of paper, they are really, really similar, if not the same, because they both have that textured weave. They're both 80 pound, and if I think they each probably differ in the color ranges that they offer, but let me see if I can find two that are close. Oh yeah, this is what, I think this is the one. See, this is Tonic, and this is Sizzix, and I think they're virtually the same. So so that's one thing, that seeing everything side by side like this is actually kind of nice, because I can do like a direct compare and contrast. The Astro brand, I really like their black cardstock. It's and they do sell, I think you can buy it in full reams. It's a very dark jet black. So that's my go-to black. And the Recollections, it's a nice lightweight, nice layering weight. Doris is also really nice. It's also got that textured weave to it. It's lighter weight than the Tonic and the Sizzix though. It's 65 pound as compared to 80 pound. So I like having this. It's easy to add to if I want, if I need. I shouldn't need to add any more cardstock to this, but if I do, you know, I can easily just open the ring to where I want to insert, and then you know, add it to this. And it was a lot of die cutting, but I just sat down in front of the TV with my mini Gemini Mini, and you know, I could die cut 2 sheets at a time, no problem. So that's how I've swatched out my cardstock. Super easy now. When I need to find a coordinating solid color cardstock, I can just go to that. I know what brand to find it, and then I can easily find it. And then with these two stamps, what I did was I swatched out my ink pads. I have a variety of different brands of ink pads that have, some I've purchased, some have come in kits, for example. All of my Nouveaux have come in craft kits. I have some from Paper Craft Society boxes as well. So all I've done is just stamped, and you know, you'll see these aren't perfectly solid impressions, and that's going to be the case, I think, with a lot of die inks. But I did want to stick to only stamping one time, just so that I can give everything like a really fair comparison. And of course, you know, if I were stamping on a real project, then I would just use a stamp positioning tool and stamp multiple times. But at least this gives me a more or less, you know, good idea for how well it stamps on the first pass. And so I've got them organized by color. That was a miss. That one I hadn't cleaned my stamp off very well, so I got a little bit of blend of 2 different colors. But here are my neutrals. You can see the Gina K. That stamps out really nice. The archival inks stamp out really nice and solid as well. So those are nice. I've got a variety of different pinks. Altenew stamps out pretty well. Some of these are really, really good. The ones that don't have a brand, those are the distress inks that I have. Hero Arts, those ink pads, super juicy. I find Paper Craft Society also stamps pretty well too. You get a really good solid impression there. Like everything on this particular swatch stamped out really nicely. Then we have yellows. This is another Paper Craft Society. I wish I could just buy whatever ink, wherever they source their ink. I wish I could just buy them because I almost always get a really nice solid stamped impression on the first stamping. Like that's another one. I missed a little bit there, but that could have just been me not inking it up completely. But yeah, so this is kind of nice to actually compare and contrast, similar to, you know, having swatches in this form. It's really nice to kind of see everything together like that, and that way I can just reference this as I go to pick out my stamp colors, and not have to kind of futz around too much. Here, see the Hero Arts, I think, stamp really well first impression. Very, very juicy ink pads. And I hadn't used these inks in a while too, and it's still a really nice impression. And then my final here. I do have oxide inks, but I never really stamp with those, so I didn't think it was that important to swatch those out. Usually I'm using those for building up backgrounds. So that's these two, using that. And then just because we're here and I'm sharing my different swatches, not related to this, but I have also swatched out my alcohol markers. And so I have a few different brands and I've got them all swatched out here. So I've got these Spectrum Noir Tri-Blend brush markers. I've got a growing collection, small but growing collection of Copics. And I have predominantly Ohuhu markers. I've got the 120 brush set. So again, really nice to have everything conveniently in this book, so that if I need a particular color, I can just flip through, find the color that I want, and then I'll know what brand to go grab. Now, as I was doing this, one thing that I learned was that I actually have a really good mix here. There's actually, I don't think I've actually swatched out all of my Copics. I've swatched out the skin tones, but I do have some colors which I started to swatch out, but I haven't completed. But I do think that my Ohuhus, I think, you know, once I swatch out the Copics, maybe it'll be a different story. But really, I still love them the most because they blend really, really well. And I think in part that's because I have such a large set. So in total, I think they're up to maybe 170 something, maybe more. And I also recently checked, when I bought my Ohuhus, they hadn't yet started selling open stock, but now they do. So if there are particular colors that you really, really love and that you use a lot of, you can now buy Ohuhu's open stock. I don't know if they have every color open stock, but I was on their website looking up something else, and I noticed that you can buy individual markers now. But it's interesting because I do have some colors that are really, really close, as you saw that quick comparison there. And so it's fun to actually compare and contrast like Copics versus Ohuhus. They're not exactly the same, but they're close. And when I colored these swatches, I went for pretty quick coloring. So if I was coloring an actual image, I would take much more time, much more care to get the shading and everything just right. But even with quick, almost messy coloring, it's you can tell, how well something blends or not. And when I look at this, I know, okay, what will I be able to kind of smooth out in terms of the blend of it. And sometimes when you see something that's a little bit too, like this one, I feel like between the darkest color and the lightest color, I don't think I'll ever be able to get a super smooth blend. Not the way that I generally like to color. For instance, I prefer that sort of blend, like a much more subtle blend between light to dark than a more kind of dramatic one. And that's just a matter of preference, whatever style you prefer. So yeah, it's kind of nice now. I've got my markers all swatched out. I've got my my solid color cardstock swatched. I've got my inks swatched. So I find having, swatches like these, it's become really, really useful, so that if when I'm looking for something, I can reference these smaller little swatches and find exactly what I need and then go straight to that. So I feel like it's a time saver. I mean, it took a little bit of time to create these in the first place, but I think in the long run, it's going to save me time while I'm crafting, which is great because you want to spend your time actually crafting, not looking for stuff. So that's what I really love about it. Also, seeing it like this, I think I am starting to use things more too, because it's reminding me of what I do have. And so every time I reference any of these swatches, I'm kind of reminded of the things that I'm not using. So it does keep it sort of in mind, because sometimes I like to store everything away, so there's that old adage of out of sight, out of mind, right? But when I see the swatch and I'm referencing it for something, for another project, then I'm reminded, oh, that's a color I haven't used in a while. So I'm feeling like it serves multiple purposes, and I'm really glad that I took the time to do it. And now as I add to it, it's not going to be all that much work to add a stamp or add a solid color cardstock or swatch out a blend. So the bulk of the work has already been done. So I will leave links to everything. I didn't mention, this is a digital download from the Artful Angel shop. This is from Spellbinders, and the discs, I used the mini, the We Are Memory Keepers mini disc cinch, which conveniently punches 4 holes at a time. So this is the perfect size. It's just one punch and I can get all 4 holes. And I think in terms of supplies, that's pretty much everything that I used. I hope that you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please consider liking, commenting, and sharing. And if you want to catch new videos as I post them, consider subscribing to my channel and ringing the notification bell. Thanks so much. Until next time, happy crafting and have a fantastic day. Bye.